All right, gentlemen. This morning, I'm bringing us all back in. All right, very good. All right, let's go ahead and start looking at some questions and see what we've got going on. Let's start. Bowie State got crushed by Virginia Union. Safe to say their time as a top team in D2 is over. We actually thought about having Bowie State as one of the stock downs tonight. We did not, but certainly they are not what they were at the height because they were a pretty dang good football team at the height of that.
Yeah, that was just like 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yes.
I mean like the Elite Eight 2 years ago.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So all right. Let's go ahead and hit one with Tyson Bagent. All right. Tyson Bagent. I did not see that he threw a touchdown, but he ran for one. Maybe he did throw for one, and I did not see it. Whit, did you?
No, I don't think they scored that many points.
Yeah. Okay.
He ran for one.
He ran for one. Yep, and then threw a bad pick at the end. But nonetheless, it's awesome to see him get his first action and score a touchdown. So
just with a horrible football team.
Yes. So all right. Let's look at the next one.
That kills us, right, Whit?
Yeah. Right. Any updates on the Ferris players carted off? I saw a tweet before the show started. Did not have time to capture it. That he is doing well and has gone back home with his family.
Yeah, I traded emails with Ferris SID Rob Bentley during the day today, and it sounded like they kept him overnight for observation, but it seems like everything looks positive. So yeah, there was if football's football, guys, you never hate to see that kind of stuff. The whole stadium was pretty upset by it yesterday. It was not cool, and I think a lot of people will be happy to hear that he's doing okay.
Right.
I totally agree. All right.
Deion Small, I think is who it was.
Yeah, that was kind of a bang play. I mean,
right.
Wow. Yeah.
All right. So Aaron says SR4 getting 3 lost teams in is insulting. Super Region 3 will be lucky if a 2 lost team gets in. I don't think it's just the nature of the competition in each Super Region. Sure, you believe one is better than the other, but at the same team, it's not really about the losses, in my opinion. It's not a big deal that one gets 3 lost teams in while another gets 2. It's more about the quality of the teams getting in. I don't see that as a big deal. Does anybody else disagree? Does anybody disagree with me on that?
No, I mean, I think this is actually the conferences that are getting 3 teams in. There's a lot of parity. I mean, the Northern Sun. I mean, unless Mankato goes and runs away, the Northern Sun typically has. Last year the best team had 2 losses, so it ended up creating a scenario where you had a handful of teams there. You didn't have people undefeated. And, so I think that played quite a bit into it. The more you have teams that are unbeaten in your region, then the less chance that you're going to have, of course, 3 lost teams getting in. For what it's worth, I don't think a 3 lost team is going to get in our Super Region 4 this year.
It has in the past. You just don't think it will this year?
So, I mean, I could be way off, but there's already a list of I don't know. I would say about 12, 13 teams that are already in Super Region 4 that are, better than 2 losses. Their 2 losses are better. And I just don't really think that it's going to get to that point. I could be way off. There's a lot of football left.
Sure. Every year we predict 1,000 things or think 1,000 things will happen, and then they never do. So,
right.
All right. Let's look. Warren says Tiffin should be 12 to 15. I don't think so. I don't vote in the poll, but I don't think they're that good of a team. They're certainly a team that's going to have to prove it, as Tony said earlier.
So I think Warren had another comment too, where he's like, "Why are we not giving them any love?" If I'm not mistaken, they were in our stock up segment last week. We talked about them pretty extensively, and without any offense to anybody, you beat Lake Erie 50-0 is not really noteworthy. You should beat Lake Erie 50-0.
Yeah, I mean, their biggest win so far is Ashland, and let's be honest, that doesn't have the same weight that it did, in other years, let's say. Otherwise, you have a 7-point win over Northwood. I mean, put the
Yeah.
pom-poms down, you know.
Yeah.
So at that point, when I take a look at Tiffin, keep in mind, guys, there's still 15 teams that are unbeaten or something like that in Division II. It doesn't just mean that we have all the unranks and rank them 1 through 15 and then everybody else. You know, we need to take into consideration who they've played, what type of wins do they have, and so forth. And if we're going to be real honest, I mean, Tiffin's got Kentucky Wesleyan, Walsh, Ohio Dominican, and Findlay left. It's not exactly murderer's row, and they're probably going to end up being unbeaten. They're going to be ranked, I think, whether it's this week in a top 25 or maybe a week after. You know, when you haven't been on the radar in the top 25 for a good while, it takes longer to get on it, is really what it comes down to. And there's a whole bunch of teams that are doing that same ascent right now, whether it's Augustana, whether it's Charleston, whether it's Virginia State. So this is not a slight to them, but you just got to take a bigger look at everything that's going on around that top 30 or so teams in the country.
Yeah. All right.
They're in my poll, Brandon, for what it's worth. But
Me too.
I'm not gonna. But I like if I have to pick who's on the 20 or the 21 or the 22 line, it comes down to them in Central Missouri. I'm picking Central Missouri. Right. And if people, I mean, that's what it is.
Hey Chuck, I see you're backstage. If you are prepared to come talk to us, give me a thumbs up, please. All right.
This is like Whit doing the remote at the ballpark. We're going
exactly right.
Chuck, I set the bar really low when I did that. So welcome to overtime, buddy.
Yeah, some pretty good improv a couple weeks ago when you did that. So yeah, well, welcome into my hotel room in downtown Indianapolis with these nice carpeted walls and the psychiatrist's couch. But it's cozy here. It's a nice setup for something I have to do during the week. But I have been able to drop in and listen to the show a little bit here and there. I got a little bit nervous when I saw that Whit was going to talk PSAC with East Stroudsburg, but pretty much nailed it. Did a really good job there. And Tony was talking about the Mountain East, and then I thought, I'm good. I guess this is a good week for me to take off. You guys have it pretty well covered. So with that said, it is a national show. We talk about the whole country. You guys really did well with all the coverage there.
Blind squirrels, Chuck. Blind squirrels.
Yeah, that's right. Tell us about your experience, Chuck. So while we have you, tell us about your experience at Grand Valley.
So yesterday I got to be at the Anchorbone Classic, as it's become known. Of course, it was Grand Valley at Ferris State. Now, I had been to Lubbers Stadium before. In 2021, I got to do a self-guided tour of the stadium as one of many that I did in the state of Michigan that weekend. But this was the first time I got to be there on a game day. And I know I kind of got to see Grand Valley at its best. I got to see the GLIAC at its best because it was Grand Valley and Ferris. But guys, I don't even know how many Division II football games I've been to. It's a lot. It's a huge number. And that was one of the best game day experiences I've ever had. A truly memorable experience for me. And I didn't really know what to expect when I rolled onto campus because it rained hard Friday night. And I was driving up from around Toledo, and it rained hard the whole drive up. And yeah, I was watching some games on my phone when I got there from Pennsylvania back here in the PSAC. It was raining, and it looked like there were about 300 people there, friends and family crowd. And I roll onto campus at Grand Valley. It's raining, and there's tailgates everywhere. And that was kind of shocking because most places I've been to, if it's raining, people stay home. And this was not the kind of day for people to stay home just because it was raining. So that was kind of a great start to the day. You guys talked about the game, and you all have higher football IQ than I do anyway. So I don't need to talk about what happened on the field. You guys covered that. The best parts of the day for me were, one, getting to meet Tony for the first time because, we've all gotten to be good friends doing this. And, it's something that we all do together because of a shared passion. So it's really fun when we get to have an opportunity to see each other, get together. So that was really kind of the best part of the day for me.
Likewise.
And after that, I was blown away by how many people stopped me and said hello. And I always encourage that. I always offer that, even though I'm I'm very introverted and probably socially awkward. I always welcome people to introduce themselves if they see me, and I was blown away by how many people recognized me and stopped me and said hello, introduced themselves, said that they read the columns, that they watch the show.
It's cool.
That meant a lot to me. We don't do any of this for ourselves. It's never about putting our faces, our names out there. Everything we do is about amplifying what the players do, what the coaches do. It's always about them. It's not about us. But it was a really good feeling to hear from people that they enjoy this, that we've created a community. Heard that a couple of times. So that was really the best part of the day was hearing from all those people and getting to meet some of them, but you meet the coaches. I even had a wife of one of the Ferris State coaches came up to me and said that she watches the show and asked to take a picture with me so that she could show her husband that she met me and got to talk to me. So that was a first, I assure you. Never had a coach's wife ask for a picture, but a very, very nice lady. Met tons of great people, and I hope that I'll get to go back again sometime soon.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. All right, let's go ahead and continue the questions.
Chuck, now that you're here, you have to answer questions too, buddy.
He does. Yes, 100%. Let's start with this one again. Justin, are you putting LRU on upset alert this week?
Yeah. So first of all, Calvin, I appreciate the question, but second of all, I'm not. Newberry, Wingate, Catawba the next 3 weeks. I don't think any of those games are upsets for them. I think that they're not going to let one of these slip by. They know how important these next 3 games are. So I don't think they're going to let this one creep up on them.
All right. Tom, I'm going to handle this one. You said, excuse me, Slippery Rock shows some signs of concern on defense. Defense against the ground game over 200 yards. I think the biggest mistake that we all make is expecting a team to play the same way every week and be at their best every week. And that does not happen. And I understand your, maybe a feeling of concern, but at the same time, they won the football game and they won handily. And ultimately, that's what matters. I was talking to a friend this week and talking about the fact that when you're in the competition and their fans think you should win 42-0 and you win 17-10, you don't care because you achieved your goal, that you won that game, and there was nothing else mattered. And I think that sometimes we get a little too focused on the stats in the video games aspect of football, and understand they did a good job. They handled their opponent and they won the game, which is what matters. All right. What do you want to do next? Are you looking at them?
Well, I'd like to have ice cream, but we still have some questions to answer.
Oh, fair enough.
Man, what's wrong with these people keeping Whit from his dessert? Don't they know by now? Disgraceful, man, I'm telling you.
All right.
It's been like an hour and a half since I last ate.
Calvin, let's pull this one up too. Benedict wins out. This is a question for you, Whit. Will the committee penalize them in terms of seeding based upon last year's poor playoff showing?
Well, I don't think they're going to get any benefit of the doubt, but at the same time, my crystal ball, and keep in mind, we're about 8 days away from the regional rankings, if my memory serves me right, where the madness will begin and bracketology and everything else. But before we get into any of that, if I were to take my crystal ball and look at Super Region 2, I'm thinking that we're going to have Delta, if they're unbeaten, as a number 1. You're probably going to have Benedict. As number 2 would be my guess as an unbeaten. I have a feeling, and I know Justin won't agree with me, I got a feeling LRU might get scraped along the way here and not end up on that unbeaten line, which I'm sure I'll catch crap for in the comments, but I can live with that. And then, you got Virginia State, who may or may not end up being unbeaten. So I think you're going to look at probably a 2 or a 3 seed for Benedict, because their strength of schedule is just going to not be there. And they won't have much in the way of signature wins, I don't believe. So that's how I would see it. And, they're a good enough defensive ball club from what I've seen that I think they're going to account for themselves a little bit better than they did last time. But it'll be very interesting to see what matchup they do get. If you have them go into a West Florida or host in West Florida or something like that, We'll have to see how that works out.
Right. Let's go ahead and pull that down. What team has been the most disappointing thus far based upon preseason expectations? Have we answered this question before? Go ahead, Whit.
IUP.
IUP, really?
Well, I mean, if we're going to be honest with ourselves, I probably would have picked them to have been the top team in Super Region 1 going into the year. Okay. Chuck, let me top spin lob that back into your court. What do you think?
Yeah, they would certainly be one of the teams that comes to mind. Whit, I had high expectations of them. It just hasn't worked out. I mean, now Carson Hunter's hurt, but they lost 3 games before he got hurt. So they're up there. Notre Dame, I know you guys talked about them earlier. Not that they're a disappointment as a team, but just knowing what we expected of them, what we thought they could be. That's another one that comes to mind for sure.
Yeah, and you mentioned Carson Hunter, and I saw with Coach Tort, he had an interview during the week where he talked about Carson Hunter, and he had a pretty bad knee injury, and they were going to get an MRI on it. But the immediate feel was that he was going to be done for the year, and maybe even have a hard time being ready come spring. So real tough to see that for a guy that we've talked about here on the show a few different times. But Tony and Justin, do you guys have any thoughts about who has been a team that's been really surprised in terms of their disappointment?
Well, I mean, being a Super Region 3 guy, I don't want to pile on, but it is a little bit shocking to see Northwest sitting where they are.
We've answered this before, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, look, I mean, it's football, guys. The fact that they've been able to put together multiple decades of just that much consistency, you're gonna have
more of expectation.
It's what are you gonna do? For me in the GLIAC, I will say I didn't see Saginaw Valley being 2-4 against D2 teams at this point of the season, especially after when even though they lost to Davenport last year, I still thought they were the 3rd best team in the GLIAC last year, and so to have them just struggle, especially at their bread and butter, which is running the ball like that, that's been a pretty big surprise to me. I don't want to say it's a disappointment, but it's definitely a surprise.
All right. Put you all on the spot. Joe wants to know about giving your top 3 to 5 every week on Monday, or he means tonight, or you don't want to spoil the poll. Well, number 1, visit the site every day, but yes, Monday when the poll goes out. I don't think the 3 to 5 are where you're going to find out anything, because most of the 3 to 5 are very similar. 1 to 5 is going to be very similar for most. We're going to have a new number 1 tomorrow. I think everybody knows who it is, but they're not the only team that got number 1 votes this week. So it'll be, but at the same time, if the number 1 team doesn't get, all the votes, it doesn't really affect it that much. It's usually 1 or 2. Ferris and Colorado School of Mines have both gotten a lot of 1 votes between the two, even up to before yesterday's game. So I don't know that you'd really learn that much, is what I'm saying, Joe.
Brandon, I think the biggest thing that we'll be looking at for this next coming poll is where does Ferris drop to? I personally had Ferris drop into 5. Okay. I'll give mine out. I don't care.
I know. But yours is going to be so similar to everything else. Go ahead.
Yeah. Maybe it won't. So I have mine's Pitt. I got Grand Valley. I got Mankato, and I went back and forth about, because I've had Mankato ahead of Grand Valley, and I'm not afraid to say that. And I think Grand Valley, though, notching the kind of win they did, is just really impressive. And then I had Ferris at 5, then I have Harding, then I have Delta, then I have everybody else after that. But that's kind of how I saw it. And I think where Ferris falls to in this poll is maybe one of the more interesting pieces of it, Brandon. Chuck, you turned in your poll. Were you kind of like-minded with me? I mean, who could blame you? But I'm just asking.
Yeah, well, Tony and I had a chance to chat yesterday just about the overall impact of that win for Grand Valley and where they were going into that game and where might they land coming out of that game. Now, I'd have a hard case bumping them all the way up to number 1 because we have a head result there with Colorado Mines, which
Right.
you simply can't discount that. So I have Mines at number 1. I actually did give Grand Valley a lot of credit for that win yesterday and giving them credit for the difficult schedule that they've played with a couple of really quality opponents. I actually did put Grand Valley at number 2 this week. They may not stay there, but I did put Grand Valley at number 2 this week. And then I have Pitt 3. And I have Delta State at number 4. And I don't think you're quite as high on them, Whip, but I have Delta State at number 4. And then I have Ferris at 5.
All right, very good. I was looking through.
See, we were a little different, Brandon.
What's
we
that?
We were a little different, weren't we?
Yeah. But in general, I mean, I guess because I'm the one that has to tabulate them every week.
Yeah, you see so many similarities. Yeah, I know.
It kind of blurs. But yes, all right. I'm going to check the live really quick to see if there are any more I need to add. Okay. No questions. Sarcasm. All right, very good. All right. Let's go with this one first. Aaron is going to Maryville this weekend. Excuse me. Any great brunch places to eat up there? Maryville is not the best place to eat. There aren't that many good restaurants, and I would stop and get something in Kansas City.
The Maryville economy is they're loving you right now, Brandon.
Yeah,
You know
right.
what? Do better. Quite frankly,
Yeah.
I think somebody in Maryville, and this is serious, unsolicited, should franchise with bosses. That's the
There
kind
we
of
have
thing
it.
they
See
need. Like
what he
a
did there, guys?
sport
That
bar.
was
That was clever.
I'm being totally honest. They have
Brandon just wants another shot at the boss hog. That's what I'm hearing.
no way. I'd
yeah.
rather,
I think we all. I think
you
we
and
all
John
heard that.
Dykstra-
Chuck.
Yeah, you and John Dykstra can give it a try this time.
no.
He's not in the comments this time. What's that about?
I don't know.
I think I scared him away.
No, well, maybe the fear of the boss hog scared him away. But all right, last one.
Oh, there he is. There he is. He just got in.
Uh,
He said
You know what?
A&G is going to be mad with you, Brandon.
you know what, John? I went to A&G once. and the bacon-
Whoa. He's getting a little ire up. You can tell right there.
but the baked potato was like, eh. Now, A&G, if you wanted to treat me and my friends to free steak dinner, I'll reevaluate that. Still be honest, but I'll reevaluate it. But other than that could use some work. So,
Brandon, you realize there's people who tune into our show just to see the moment you get red ass.
I
You
think
realize
and I know you guys
He
do
made,
it.
he made him wait tonight.
It's easy to trigger me. So you know what? John is right. Gray's for breakfast is good. It's a truck stop north of town. John, thank you for your contribution. And if that would be my suggestion, would be to go there for breakfast though. So all right. And then let's see. Anything else? No. All right. Last thing tonight. Just wanted to say hi to my friend Wayne, one of the best people on earth. He's a Pitt State fan. It's good to see him around, and it's good to see the Grill is winning, so that he has some interest. But I don't see anything more that we need to add. Do you guys, or are we good to go?
No, I see Nick Devanzo has asked about thoughts on East Stroudsburg. So he must have missed the show. We talked about them extensively on the show a little bit earlier. Might need to go give it a look-see.
Very good. Very good. All right. And all right. All right. That's going to do it, guys. All right. We didn't answer your questions. Sorry. If we start taking super chats and you pay for the questions, maybe we'll make sure we answer them all. But for right now, we do the best we can. That's going to do it tonight, guys. Appreciate you being on the show with us. And hope everybody has a good week. And we will, by the way, check out these guys' work. They do a phenomenal job. I'm real proud to have them as part of this organization. And but nonetheless, we will see you next week on Inside D2 Football. Have a good week.